Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. 6:11 a.m. Friday, July the 4th. Happy Independence Day to all our good friends in the United States of America today. I've got my big blue mug of coffee. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I am feeling great today. I'm wearing a t-shirt I got last night. My wife bought this for me. Alberta Prosperity Project, because last night I got a chance to go out to Airdrie, and for those of you not from Alberta, Airdrie just north of Calgary, and they had an event last night. And I feel so positive this morning after going to that event, talking about Alberta independence. It was just terrific. The speakers were great. Jeff Rath was there. His video that went up yesterday morning on my channel's got, I think, 11,000 views. I'll put a link in the description. Please watch it. Mitch Sylvester, the CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project, spoke last night. I spoke to him on this channel. Link in the description. Please watch that as well. And Dr. Dennis Modry was there. I haven't spoken to the doctor, cardiac surgeon, but I want to because he was impressive last night as well. And I mentioned it to them when I got to ask a question, which I'm going to show you in just a moment because my wife was nice enough to record me when I got in line to ask some questions last night. But a well-oiled machine, and these men are out doing this on their own time. Mitch Sylvester said it was his 28th event, and there are a lot more coming up. Some of them on the screen right now, which I'm scrolling here. Go to the APP website, and you can go to an event. I would suggest you do that. Now, it was hard to find a place to sit because so many people came up to say hi to me last night because they watch me here on this channel. And I appreciate you so much. I should have brought the big blue mug along. A lot of people asked about that. But people are just so damn nice. And it was so nice to shake so many hands last night. I was sitting there with my wife. I asked her to estimate how many people were at the event in Airdrie last night. And she looked around and said 600. Here's a video I took just as the event started last night. And I thought, well, that might be a good estimate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically count. There were 20 rows on my side of the auditorium, 15 people in each row. If you do the math, multiply it by 2. There were 600 people there last night, which I think all three of the speakers brought up that there's not too many events or people, save maybe the premier of the province, that could draw 600 people out on a weeknight in Alberta. This is a growing movement. I feel so positive about what happened last night. Now, the thing that I took out of this is that I didn't have a lot of time to record people, although I did talk to a few people. I'll show you that in just a moment. The thing that I really took out of this, even after talking to Mitch Sylvester and talking to Jeff Rath just a couple of days ago on this channel, was the incredible amount of money that Alberta puts into Canada and how little we get back. And that's the thing that has to be mentioned and has to be passed along to people who are sitting on the fence who don't want independence in this province. Alberta could be one of the richest countries in the world if we would just leave Canada, if not the richest. I was lucky enough to go out on the day that this document was released. Link in the description if you'd like to download a copy of this, or if you'd like to buy one, money goes back into the APP so they can print more of these and get them into hands of Albertans so we can get our independence. But Jeff Rath introduced this yesterday. This is from the Freedom Calendar YouTube channel. Just a short little bit with the mind-boggling amount of money Alberta contributes to Canada.
Into what we think is a truly outstanding document that presents an incredible picture for a free and independent Alberta and the fiscal prosperity that Albertans will enjoy the day that they declare independence from Canada and stop sending $70 billion a year in taxes, CPP, and UI to Ottawa, to have only a fraction of that money trickle back to us in so-called federal transfers.
This document's got a lot of numbers in it, a staggering amount of money from Alberta to Canada and very little in return. But it also goes into other things like policing. It talks about the environment, Indigenous groups. It talks about the Canada Pension Plan. I think it was Mitch Sylvester who mentioned last night that during the recent Olds-Didsbury by-election, people who were asked about independence said they were concerned about their Canada Pension Plan. It was stated a number of times last night, the Canada Pension Plan belongs to you. It belongs to you. You can live anywhere in the world and still collect your Canada Pension Plan. So we need to make that very clear to people who are worried about that if Alberta becomes independent. At the end of this event, which was like a well-oiled machine, it started at 7 and the last speaker ended just around 5 to 9 and they started to take questions and there was a queue there, a lineup, and I thought I'd go ask a question. And while I was watching Jeff Rath yesterday talk about this, and while they were talking about this document last night, I started to chuckle sitting there with my wife because I started thinking about something that I thought was rather funny. And I got up in line and I'm standing there thinking, am I wasting the time of these people asking this question? And I thought, no, you know what? This is a serious question as well. And boy, did I get a serious answer from Jeff Rath. So thanks to my wife for recording this. She said she was a little unsteady with her hand, so please excuse that, but I think the audio is pretty good on this. Here's the question I asked of Dr. Dennis Modry, Mitch Sylvester, and Jeff Rath.
First of all, I'm really impressed by tonight. It's my first one. First time I've been out to one of these. Great presentation. Amazing. I watched you earlier today, Jeff, making a presentation on value of freedom. I watched it earlier today. I was amazed at the money that's involved here. Something funny came to mind, and while I was sitting here, I was thinking the same thing when we were talking about the money. That is actually a serious question, but it might be rather funny. At the beginning, when we vote for independence, and we have all of this prosperity, and our income taxes go down, and we find ourselves richer than we've ever been before. How do we keep all the Easterners the hell out of this province who aren't coming in?
Well, I think the answer's in this document, The Value of Freedom. We put together what we call an immigration and deportation plan. So, the first thing is, anybody that's here on an open work permit that was issued by Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney that is not gainfully employed will be immediately deported. That's step one. Second of all, what we're positing is we've gone back to the old 2005 Government of Canada points program for landed immigrants coming to Canada, and we've developed our own points program for Canadians wanting to immigrate to Alberta. So first of all, we're giving a lot of points to people that are born in Canada because they have similar educations to us. They're culturally, maybe culturally compatible, etc. People with trades qualifications, useful university degrees, English as a first language. All of those things would get immigration points that would allow them, access, to Alberta. And what we see is with a thriving, booming Alberta economy, with the lowest regulations and the lowest taxes in North America, we don't see that there'd ever be a need for any immigrants to come to Alberta from anywhere other than Canada. Right? So, that's I think an answer to your question. The plan is a lot more nuanced than that, and it's more fully, set out in the Value of Freedom document. But I would urge everybody to read it, and I think it's a solid way forward.
So as you can see, I got a chuckle from all three of the men up there, from Mitch and from Dr. Modry and from Jeff Rath. And immediately after that, Jeff Rath's face went serious and he says, it's in here. And it's all in here. And imagine basically merit-based immigration into our new country of Alberta instead of flooding the country with anybody from around the world, millions of people, which drives up the prices of everything, makes housing scarce and too expensive for your children and grandchildren to afford a home. That was brought up quite a few times last night. Think of this as an investment in your grandchildren's future or your children's future, and how much better things will be if Alberta becomes independent. Now, I did not have a lot of time to get a camera in the face of a lot of people last night. It was just one of those evenings. And I've spoken to most of the people who were presenters last night. So I wanted to talk to a few of the people. Now, please excuse the audio here. A little note to self, buy a microphone for my phone. I've tried to boost the audio here as much as possible, but I did get a chance to talk to a few people after the event as people were going out. And there's kind of a theme to a few of these people, but some great insight from people who want an independent Alberta. Don't want to put you on the spot, but what surprises did you find out about here tonight?
Well, a lot of the money issues.
Yeah.
They were being sold. Yeah.
The biggest thing I think that stood out for me is the actual amount of money that Alberta would prosper with if they didn't have all these taxes and the transfer payments and all that stuff. So it's definitely an eye opener.
Do you get the feeling this is growing? This is a growing movement in Alberta.
I believe it is a movement, and I know that some people think there should be a leader, and maybe that would be good, but actually, at the end of the day, a leader can be a reason for people not to vote for a movement, and a movement is a collection of people who might have very diverse views.
Interesting you say that, because I've said that on my channel a number of times. I thought we needed a leader. When I spoke with Mitch Sylvester, I asked him about it. He said, John, that's by design. I talked to him again tonight, and I think that is the right move, and I agree with you 100%. So he's changed my mind. Absolutely, I have. I have changed my mind.
I think that if people are open-minded and are willing to listen to the gentlemen that are speaking here, APP, that once they understand the concept of it and the prosperity of people, that we definitely won't be poor anymore. We won't have to worry about our children or grandchildren. I think that's a big thing that's on people's minds right now. Is like the thought of like, what are we going to do for our kids and our next generations that come? So yeah.
Yes, I do. And one thing I would say is the one thing that has been not talked about is the vision of the future. I see a vision of a future Alberta where Dubai is envious of us. We don't have to desalinate water. We have beef. We have lumber.
Yeah.
We have everything that they import.
Yeah.
So I think people don't really understand the wealth that's been given away. $1 trillion for 3 million people. 3 million people gave away $1 trillion. That's not even interest adjusted.
Have you always been somebody who wanted an independent Alberta, or were you a proud Canadian at one time?
I was a proud Canadian.
Yeah.
But I certainly haven't liked the way the government has been treating us over the past 10 years, at least.
So if there were an independence vote tomorrow, you would vote?
Yes.
Thanks to those people once again for talking to me last night. I hope to do another event where I can do more of that with a microphone. Last night before the event, I got a chance to talk with Mitch Sylvester, the CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project. As you know, and I mentioned here, I spoke with him a few weeks ago. During the interview with him on my channel, I asked him if there was a good chance we could win the vote. And he said to me, I honestly think we really have a good chance to win this. But he seemed apprehensive. I asked him the same question last night, and he was very positive. He said, John, I really think we have a good chance. This is a growing movement. It was stressed last night that the people in the audience need to pass along the information that they hear at these events. And if every person that was there last night, 600, can convince one person to vote for independence, we have a good chance of winning this thing. So it was a great night. I hope to go to another event. I suggest you go to the APP website, RSVP at one of these events, if it's in your neighborhood. Some people came up to me last night and said, thank you for letting me know I have to RSVP. Get this document as well. I'd also like to thank Gary DeVries, who was there last night. Gary sends me email regularly. I first met him on the steps of the Alberta legislature on May 3rd at, I think, the very first Alberta Independence Rally. I was the MC at that event. And Gary sends me so much information. I talked to him last night. I thank him so much for all of his help. I hope to be doing something else on my channel to help out the APP on a regular basis here. And again, thanks to Gary for his assistance. It's nice meeting you last night once again. And so nice to meet everybody who came up to me and shook my hand. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this if you can. I'll see you in the next one.